Spence is a multi-time best-selling, award-winning author and a book marketing strategist, and she helps coaches, consultants, and nonfiction experts turn their books into engines for authority and client attraction. And she's here because we're all here to promote something or another, and her upcoming book, Author Ignition, gives authors the confidence, clarity, and strategy to use AI ethically across their entire author journey, and the credibility, visibility, and influence to lead with integrity in an AI-driven world. I'm in awe of the keyword density and careful construction. It also is fun to say and hear. So it's bravo on like a good wording on like 5 different angles.
Yeah, yeah. I will admit that AI helped me with that because, you word vomit into chat and then it goes, okay, here's it in English. And then you take it and you go, well, that wasn't quite English. Let's do it this way.
That's a good step-by-step process. I'm still amazed when I still talk to people and they say, oh, I don't really use AI. It's like, but if you use it for nothing else, you could use it for exactly what you said. Like you just kind of ramble and say I kind of want to talk about this and that. And like, it blows my mind because like AI does have its limitations. It does mess up, but it blows my mind how it can at least turn the word vomit into like something that's like, it's not quite there, but it's like 81% there.
I think of it kind of like an intern that's just learning the ropes, but does it way much faster than a human intern can do.
Yeah,
but it's the same process. I mean, I've managed younger people when they're just starting, and you can see the talent there, but it's not quite there. And so you need to guide it. AI is not much different, just a heck of a lot faster.
Someone just yesterday put it to me that way, that, I mean, we've maybe heard that it's an assistant. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. But the person said, well, don't use it to replace you. Do it like you say, treat it as assistant. It's like, okay, great. So when you're saying like, it could write my social posts, yeah, but then I should like take a human pass, or it's like same with like scripting my videos or my book or things like that. Just like it's someone that you could have hired, but you didn't have to pay for. And if you gave them an assignment and they come back with you like 6 hours later and said they come back 6 seconds later.
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing, I know a lot of people who are trying to automate all this content. And so they have like a skill or a GPT or something that they call it a humanizer that removes all the AI tells. And when I've experimented with those, usually what comes out the other side is something that doesn't sound anything like me and is bland and flat and vanilla. So basically, I've just come to the conclusion that I somehow sound like a bot, or AI trained on me.
Nice. And I've heard of that too, like where like someone at some workplace somewhere, they're writing that they wrote that got flagged by like some AI detector, and they're like, well, I'm just autistic. I'm just very careful about my structuring of the words. So I guess you can't fully win. And like who's playing, who's like grading that anyway? Like if it's like seems to like AI, like I understand if I kind of like, if it's too repetitive or it's too structured or I like lose attention, but like if all of the text and all things that are like AI and it's still like helping me, like what does it matter so much?
I mean, that's my thought. And I'm in writing communities, and this is the conversation going on right now, because you've got, in the zeitgeist I've experienced, it seems like people in the fiction world are way more afraid of AI than people in the nonfiction world. And I can understand that, because it feels like it's taking away your creativity. But honestly, it's how you use it. And these AI detectors are inconsistent. They've told me that my 100% human written is 100% AI written. They've told me that my 50 to 75% AI written is almost completely human written. They don't work, and I don't see them ever working, because AI learned from us. It's mimicking us. And so we need to take the lead and be honest about how we're using AI, and be sure that we always have a human pass before it goes out into the world.
Well, fair enough, and that's evergreen, right? Like
Yeah.
because I get so I can't be alone. I get so overwhelmed with all the tools. Like I'm such a Chat GPT guy, but then when people say, "Oh, use Claude and these skills and the automation," like I used to think I was like a technical person. I'm a computer programmer, computer science major, but I feel so far behind, and then I keep thinking like, okay, well, these tools will come and go, but then there's like some like concrete solid lessons like what you're saying there about like the human past, that no matter what Claude version 70 or Chat GPT versus 180, no matter what the technology is, like we can still apply these same sort of common sense principles.
Absolutely. And, like I'm in several AI masterminds, and when I think about it, the people who follow me, I'm probably way ahead of them, but I'm way behind some of the people in my mastermind. So it's like, if you're into AI at all, you're already ahead of the curve, because I think there was an article published several months ago, or maybe last year. No, it was earlier this year. 12% of the people, at least in the US, use AI daily. 12. I use it
Jeez.
daily. I'm part of the 12%.
Yeah.
Woo. It's crazy. And then this whole backlash. I mean, the two things I'm seeing is there are analogies to the witch hunts, because people are like trying to look for, this is AI slop and that's AI slop, and some, they're calling things slop that are not slop. But it also reminds me of the early days of pod publishing, when anybody could self-publish, and so all this crap got self-published. Now you can self-publish and it's very respectable because the industry has learned how to use the new tool. I think the same thing's going to happen with AI. We'll learn, we'll mellow out. Even the publishing industry is already starting to experiment with how can AI be used to help the industry. So it will. We just have to live through the turbulence.
A tool like anything else, and it gives me like flashbacks to when article spinners were a thing, and like gaming the SEO, and like people would like take run it through software, and it would like just use like a thesaurus basically and swap out words, and like people saying like it, oh, that's cheating or that's police, and then it all for me comes back to, okay, well, like how do you get anything done, right? If you're always
Yeah.
spending time like learning or studying or like playing or experimenting or like playing policeman or policewoman and saying, well, that's bad or that's AI. Like, okay, well, what about like, running a business or having a career? Or even if you say like, well, I'm just in it for the fun of writing. Okay, well then, where's your books or where's your short stories? It's like at some point you have to actually like get things done, and so that's why I'm super excited and curious about this kind of the book that you have and the training that you do, because you're about us, well, not just playing around with AI, but using it to actually like publish a book, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, AI is an integral piece of this, my signature program, Road Trip to Authority. It's like I use AI at every point to help get people over the sticky bits, because people keep not finishing their books because they get stuck here or they stuck here. I mean, there's lots of different. I'm in my own sticky point right now. It's like there's points where there's a friction, and some people, when they hit that friction, they stop altogether. Well, if AI can step in and get you over that hump, then why not? It's still your ideas, your book, your work. It's like using a crutch when you break your leg. What are you going to do? Oh, that's cheating. So that's
Right.
how I think of it, and that's how I use it.
Yeah, that's great. And it's like nothing is original, right? Like you think you had some great idea. Well, you read it in a book, you learned it in school. It's from Aesop's fables, it's from the New Testament, it's from that Disney movie you watched, you forgot. It's like there's nothing 100% original. And I can definitely relate to the writer's block and just this idea of like switching back and forth between like human and AI and using it to get you unstuck, because like I feel like, I don't know about you, but like my emotions are way more like roller coastery with the writing now that
Yeah.
AI is here. Maybe because it's like faster paced, and because I'm thinking like, okay, well, before AI existed, if I wrote something, if I had writer's block, if I wrote halfway and I got distracted and I put it aside and never finished it, then okay, well, I just didn't have the tools. But now that I have the tools, I feel like I'm like squandering my opportunities because like now
Mm.
what's my excuse?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, my level of personal creativity and how I feel about expressing my creativity is so much more than I used to because I'm not a good drawer, but now I can conceive of I mean, because I can see it in my head, what I want something to look like. And then I just tell AI, and 3 generations later, it's got it. It's like you have to iterate a bit. Hmm. And then this has been fun. I used to write a lot of excuse me, I need to get some water. I used to write a lot of poetry when I was in high school. A lot of angst-filled poetry when
Sure.
I was in high school. And lately, I've been taking my poetry, plopping it into Suno, and it's turning it into songs I actually like.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm a songwriter? Look at that. Who knew? Can't read music. So, I mean, am I going to sell these and make $1 million? I doubt it. I doubt it very much, but it's personally fulfilling. And one of the arguments I hear that people who don't like AI are like, well, you're taking money away from whatever. The images on my blog, I never paid for. I used free stock photography. Nobody earned any money from those photographs. Now I have images that AI generates that are much more to the point. I pay $20 a month. So I'm not taking money away from any artist, any photographer, any of those things, because I would have never paid them in the first place.
Right.
But if I get the money, do I want a real human artist to paint a painting for me? Absolutely. My mother's an artist. She did the artwork that's on my book cover. So it's only taking whatever away from the free stuff that was available, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, and you're allowed to have those opinions. And I don't think I'll ever use a stock photo again, just because like you hear about those scary stories about like someone bought something, some license, or it was free, or they thought it was, and then it was some Getty Images thing, and then some lawyer came and they had to pay $10,000, and it's like I don't even want to worry
Yeah.
about that and deal with that. And so, and if, like you said, there's this idea of like the 3 generations, right? If you want to
Yeah.
make like a diagram for page 67 of your book, or you want to make like something that looks stock photo ish for your blog, that's like more of a match than what the stock photo would be. Well, sure, the first iteration that comes out might not be that good, but you adjust it and eventually you get there. And it feels like with a lot of this AI stuff, there's like people not even looking at it or not even reading it or like giving up too soon, right? And like I feel like I can
Yeah.
kind of tell, like you open up say like LinkedIn or something, and it's a lot of AI written material, but you can
Yeah.
just tell when it's like, okay, this is AI, but they took it and they changed it and they changed it again. It's like, okay, now it seems like it's thought through, versus when they just like spew out and it's like the very first iteration and they didn't even look at it. Like you can almost feel what that difference is. And
Yeah.
so yeah, like where do you think people are? I mean, we've already listed away a lot of ways like people go wrong with AI, but is there anything that maybe like drives you crazy a lot with all this AI use, or maybe something that's not discussed enough?
Um, well, I think this was something interesting. So I went to an authors group and somebody had shared AI generated images of one of their characters. I doubt they were planning to publish that. Maybe they might have used it in the wanted to use it in the cover, but basically they were sharing, this is the character I've created for my book, and here's an image I did with AI. Tons of people just went AI slop, AI slop, AI slop. So I posted, I said, there's a definition for AI slop, and it means this. And then I got piled on. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I wrote an article on LinkedIn about what really is AI slop. And AI slop is something that has no care, no human thought. It's just mass produced. So you can use AI if you put it starts with you and it ends with you, and it's not mass produced. It's unique for each piece. And that one got so much engagement, 50% of it telling me anything that AI touches is slop. And that it's when everything is slop, then the word means nothing. It's, I mean, there's a reason why Kleenex and Rollerblade try to protect their name. I still call any facial tissue Kleenex. But like in England, they call all vacuums Hoover.
Hmm.
It ceases to have the meaning it was intended to mean because everybody's using it to mean everything. So it's like, I think it's important to understand the true meaning of words, and being lazy about that is more about you than it does about AI slop.
I like that. That's deep. It's then there's all these like cool contradictions that make my head hurt in a good way, right? That like, well, we're trying to be so advanced and so smart, but there's value in going back to the basics and saying, well, this kind of term that's gotten so carried away and people just keep using it, like, what does it actually mean? Or are they misusing it? And are they maybe using it just because the negativity and the criticism is easier, right? Because if I can
Yeah,
just hate on someone's AI generated graphic of their character, well, that makes me feel better that maybe my book's not doing so well in the progress, or that I haven't gotten as far as this other person. I can feel better about knocking this other person down, and then all seems smart. And then when the rest of the mob is doing the same thing, now I feel like I'm part of a group. It's all this like evil psychological factors at play, and it's scary.
yeah,
But there's like these marketplace cycles, aren't there, where there's like the new technology and it gets kind of used, and it goes off in this weird path, and then there's always like a cleaning out period when maybe the AI will get more civilized, or will have something else to make this whole process
absolutely.
better. And you know, with writing especially, there's this weird like kind of like fighting of the two halves, right? There's like the artsy fartsy creativity, and then there's like the selling out and making money. And we know that, well, when you do your writing or you do your books, like, it's great to do something as a hobby, but if you want something to succeed, like, you have to kind of maybe play by a few rules and market yourself and get yourself out there. So in these last
Yeah,
few minutes of our conversation, I'm curious about that part, because that can maybe be uncomfortable, right? If someone says, well, I just want to write this bestseller and it's so good people will just find it, but you have to kind of like hustle, as bad of a word that is. So like, what are your
yeah.
thoughts on that? Like, what should authors be doing to get the word out?
Well, I wrote an entire book about that. But I think a lot of people fall into the field of dreams, the philosophy that if they build it, they will come. And yeah, maybe you might get one or two purchases, and one of them will be your mom. But if you want to be successful as an author, and it doesn't matter what genre you're in, you need to think about, who are you writing for? Write what they want. I interviewed an author who he chose his niche, which I think was like, it was like super niche, like necromancy or something. I mean, it was like romantic necromancy. I mean, it was like not the kind of book I would read. But the reason why he landed on that particular genre, there were like 5 or 6 genres he was interested in writing in. That one had the least competition. So he knew that if he followed his plan, he could make a living doing that genre, because the people who like that kind of book will buy a lot of it. And if you write several, they'll buy it all. It's very similar. You think, who are you writing for? Who do you want to attract to your books? What do they need? What do they want? And then you kind of reverse engineer the book that will get you to your end goal. His end goal was to dominate a genre. My goal is to help more people get the freaking book out of their head and into people's hands. And that's a whole journey.
I like that, because like, thinking about the bigger picture is such a cliche, and people, it sounds like good advice in theory, but like, what does that actually mean? And you say, well, it means like you think the bigger picture is like, oh, well, the outline of my book and the start to finish, and you're like, no, like, what about the whole master plan, especially who
Yeah.
will want it and who is stuck without it? And I like that can become maybe a motivating factor if you are maybe procrastinating or have the writer's block. You say, hey, well, there are these people out there that they're really hurting for that necromancy, sleeping with zombies kind of,
Right.
erotic fiction, whatever. Or maybe there are people out there that frustrated with their book, they need Miss Carma Spence to write the give the training to make that happen. And so it's quite a fun time to be alive, I think, where
Yeah.
back in the day, you'd be limited with the books that you could read and be limited about the publishing. And now, I mean, there's just so much that's possible. But then the downside to that is like analysis paralysis, right? There's like so many
Yeah.
choices. So sometimes we need to like get educated enough and have enough of a goal setting and motivation and a guide like yourself, so that way we can actually just like harness some of this potential that's like swirling around us, and we'll only get crazier. So we really got to like get some things figured out. And so in our conversation we're having here about AI and writing and everything that goes along with that, do you think there might be a missing question in our conversation that I should be asking you, I just don't know what to ask you?
Well, I think a question that a lot of people don't ask themselves that is really, really important, it drives their business, it drives their book, is what do you want to be known for? That's always been important, but now because of answer engines, it's extremely important. And I admit I'm struggling with it because I know a breadth of stuff when it comes to books. But if I want to get recommended by I need to land on no more than like two or three. I can teach the whole thing, but the thing I need to be known for is like ideally one, max three things. And that has been probably the toughest because a lot of people are known for some of those three things. So what you need to ask, what is the thing you want to be known for, and what's your pink gorilla about this? What makes you different? What makes you stand out? What's your new perspective? What is your twist? Where do you zig where everybody else is zagging? And that's not an easy question to answer. And sometimes your passion is a part of it, but sometimes you have to kind of like go next to your passion or diagonal to your passion. Your passion's important, but it's not necessarily always the driver.
Yeah, ikigai, right? There's you love to do, but you also have to pay the bills, and there's also the factor of like being known, and it's just all these weird
Yeah,
factors at play. And it's maybe requires some introspection, because it's like when you were getting near the end of high school and you talked to that career counselor, well, you had to sort of make a decision, but it maybe didn't affect your whole life, right? It was like the
right.
next 5 or 10 years. But then as you get older and it dawns on you more and more that like life is finite, and you're not going to live 10,000 years, you'll live like 100 years if you're lucky. You have to maybe like get this dialed in, because like otherwise, what will you do with your life, right? If you're chasing all
Yeah,
the shiny objects and you're like known for 20 things, well, you kind of suck at 20 things. Why not get good at a handful?
right. Exactly. And AI's only made that even more important.
Oh yeah. But hopefully it can help us with that, because I find so many times, I don't know what you'd call it, but there's like a feedback loop, right? Where I go and I like feed it a lot of my recent content, like YouTube transcripts, and I say like, okay, like what should be on my LinkedIn profile, or like what video should I make next, or what should be in my about page. And I feel like uh, I am I'm not good at like talking about myself, but I feel like with the help of the AI, it's like, oh, it's this person is like talking about me. I guess I can like adjust that. It gives me a good
Yeah.
starting point. Like it seems like a lot of in our discussion, AI gives us, right? There's the dreaded blank page, but AI
Yeah.
can give you something to tweak.
AI is great at being a brainstorming buddy. And you can do it on demand. You can't call your friend at 2 in the morning and say, I need to think through this idea. But you can open up your phone and talk to Chat or Claude or Perplexity or Gemini. It's right there.
Yeah. What an amazing tool, but we need to use it properly. So how does this relate to what you offer? Like you mentioned that you have like your website and your book and your program. So if someone says, "Well, I'm excited about the AI possibilities but overwhelmed about like actually being practical," how do you help?
Well, it depends on what you need. If you want me to help you write a book, we will use AI to help you get over the sticky bits. If you already have a book, but you need help marketing it, I can help install an AI system that assists you with that marketing. So
Ooh.
it's uh, there are different ways but I always make sure that whatever AI we use, you are the starting point and you are the ending point. AI just makes the long sloggy bits short sloggy bits.
Very nice. So there's definitely value in someone setting up your AI for you, right? Because if you
Yeah.
set up your own, it's like, well, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Am I just doing it because it's what happened to come up in my newsfeed? And you say like you kind of you set this up so that way you don't have to think about the thinking that you'll do and the thinking that you'll do. It can just be in process, and that
Yeah.
all these benefits that we hear about AI will begin to reveal themselves because you did that hard part of setting it up for us.
Yeah. Because I've done the hard part of setting it up for myself.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of like business is, right? You kind of scratch your own itch and like, hey, this works, and you just replicate.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
And
very
what's nice is that as things change, I can always go back and go, hey, you need an update.
oh yeah.
And
And
I
that's
let you know.
that's what kind of like overwhelms me about AI is like I've slowed down on like my course creation because I'm like, well, as soon as I make it, like it'll be out of date. And but I guess I don't know that's maybe that's just like a mental block I have to get over, just like many others.
Well, you know what I found in the course world is that courses that are just you sell the course and you never talk to the teacher, those no longer work. It has to be a hybrid where you have the lessons for things that are principle based that don't age out, and then you have the group dynamic where you're answering questions, maybe you're teaching something new that you add to the library. Courses without a teacher are no longer very useful, and people just aren't buying them so much anymore. But the hybrid model, it takes a little more work, but actually you can set it up so it's actually kind of fun because you just show up like maybe once a week or twice a month and you answer questions. And if you're a teacher personality like me, that's fun. So
Yeah, so find the upside. So you're saying that maybe more thinking is required and more of the people skills are required, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. So if someone says, I'm so amazed at what's possible and some of the lessons that Ms. Carma Spence has already given us on a podcast, I can only imagine what's in store for me on her website, her YouTube, her content, so much more. What are some next steps here? How can someone find out more about you?
the first step would be to go to carmaspence.com. Pretty much everything is there. There are links to my podcast, to my books, all that kind of stuff. And if you want to explore there, just go to the schedule page and we can have like a 15-minute conversation to see where you're at and where you want to be and see if I can help you. And if I can't help you, but I know someone who can, I'll point you there.
Ooh, very nice, very helpful. So karmaspence.com is that hub that you say where there's the blog, the books, the podcast, but where Karma really wants us to go is to click on the schedule button so that way we can get time on the calendar, and that way you can explain your situation to her and she can point you in the right direction and at the very least have a fun conversation, making new friends. So karmaspence.com is the place to go and to schedule that. And because it's always fun to end things on a high note, and you're a good writer and communicator, I always like to try to stump my guests a little bit, put them on the spot, scare them a little bit. So it's time for that, where I ask you about a fun or interesting quote or lesson that has served you. So, Ms. Carma Spence, what do you have as far as a fun or interesting quote or lesson?
It's this one right here, which you probably can't read. It says, if you don't inspire, you expire. And that actually came from my subconscious. I had a dream. I was in Frankenstein's castle and I was going down these dark stairs, and Frankenstein's monster was coming up, and he stops me and he asks me, if you don't inspire, you expire, right? Because what he wanted to do was go upstairs and strangle this girl who lived on my dorm room.
Whoa.
And I'm like, yes. But then when I woke up, I realized, wait a minute. This is what writing is about. If your words, if your life doesn't inspire something in other people, your memory expires and it's like you weren't there.
Hmm.
And I've lived by that ever since.
Well, very good. So we need to put that to use and use that writing tool, right? You think about in centuries past, the number of humans that were illiterate just because we didn't teach people, right? We didn't have the technology or the use. You go and plow on a farm and that's your only useful to society. And now that we have this gift of language, we have to put it to use and help others. And you can begin on or continue on that path with Carma Spence's help by going to carmaspence.com. You'll be so glad that you went there. You'll learn so much. You'll get so excited about what can be done with AI to multiply, amplify what you're doing. So carmaspence.com is the place to go. And thanks, Miss Carma, for showing up, stopping by, and helping us out today.
It was a fun conversation. Thank you.